Hello everybody, Reggie Time here with the third episode of my $0 to $500 mini challenge on the Pokerstars 16L tables. Before we go any further, in case you doesn't watch all the videos, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my son Jordan's friend Harrison, who's been watching the videos up to now. He's apparently going to be playing a home game with some of his friends soon, and he's trying to pick up some tips from me from the series. So big shout out to Harrison. He's a good lad. We dicked him at football a few weeks ago, despite the fact he's over half my age, which is obviously quite shameful for him, but hopefully his poker play is going to be a little bit better than his football. So anyways, aside from that, if you are enjoying the series so far, please do hit the like buttons. Please do share with friends in any communities you're in, and just get involved in the chat below. There's more and more chat coming below the videos, and getting involved in all of that. Try to respond to most comments. Some I don't respond to, but try and respond to most of them where I can. So please do get involved, but definitely hit the likes and the shares. If you're not already a subscriber, also please do subscribe. So what have we been doing since the last session? Well, first of all, we've got the sessions. These are the sessions since the last one. This was a session where we played on video. This is what's happened since, where we kind of had a bit of a moderate break-even sort of spell of whatever that's going to be, 1,000, 2,000, 2,500 hands. And then today we just hit some nice heat, as can be testified by my enormous going to showdown and enormous winning at showdown. We just ran pure today. We got it in good a few times, we got it in okay a few times, and then we got massive value on our value bets. And it's been pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, it's been a good start to it. As you can see, we're up $184 in just 7,000 hands, and we're paying next to no rake. Well, not next to no rake, but our rake's really low, which I think is a solid testament to my going from peeling hands in position and peeling lots of hands in the blind, etc., into just 3-betting more pre-flop and just kind of taking hands down pre-flop, that paying rake. I've never been a massive rake pair anyway. It's as low as it's ever been. I think at the minute my rake's about 7 blinds 100, that we're actually paying. It's ridiculously good. And things are going really, really well. In graph form, that's how we're looking. Obviously, this is like the kind of break-even stretch that wasn't a whole ton of fun, but it's going to happen a lot, so you're going to get used to it, and just hopefully when you do having your break-even stretches, you're kind of limiting your losses, you're managing your mental game, and you're making sure that you don't turn a break-even stretch into a big downswing, or a small downswing like this into a large downswing. Quite often people will have these downswings and they'll just crash, and then they'll have to rebuild again. I try to pride myself on not having too many complete crashes. Downswings are inevitable, crashes aren't inevitable. Crashes are kind of our own doing a lot of the time. These downswings, a lot of the time we can't do much about them, but when they go from this to down here somewhere, then usually it's been a lot of our own doing. I pride myself on recovering quickly from downswings, bouncing back, and then enjoying the heat when it comes. So really pleased with the graph. For the first time, we're going to look at this too. It's still not relevant. It's only like 1,000, 1,100 hands from each position, but things start to take shape a little bit. My results in the blinds are nowhere near where they need to be. These numbers need to be a lot lower. This number needs to get to around -30. This number needs to get to around -15. But we're going in the right direction. We've lost a lot of big pots in the small blind with premium hands. If we were to look at all hands and then biggest losses, you can see we've lost ace jack, ace king, queens, kings. We've lost like top pair, top kicker, 3-bet pot, top 2 pairs, overpair. So for 4 buy-ins. So that's going to be have a pretty slanting effect on this number to begin with. This number typically will come down to between 15 and 20 for me. This number will typically between 30 and 35. Once they get down there, which I expect them to be after maybe 25, 30,000 hands, then we'll be happy. I'm not going to change anything I'm doing at the moment because I'm presuming it's just natural variance. I've noticed that I'm happy with my opens pre-flop from the small blind. I know it's quite narrow for some of you guys, but that's an improvement on where I've been in the past. I'm really happy with that. These areas need improvement. Happy with my 10% under the gun, but I don't think we need to go more than that in these games. I think 10% is completely fine. A lot of you disagree and think that's too nitty again. It's just my opinion. It works really well for me. These are the two areas where I think we can improve. Cut off and button. This number needs to come up to around 15%. This number needs to come up to around 30%. I always bang on about positional awareness. I think this is more a product of me moving to 3 tables, and maybe in these 2 positions I'm missing some opportunities for some of the slightly wider opens. I'll fix that. That'll come up sooner or later. Because I'm aware of it now, and I'm focusing on it during sessions to make sure that I'm not just autopilot, auto-folding some of the weaker parts of my middle position or weaker parts of my cut-off range. So I expect them to come up. Happy with my button open at 51%. Again, a lot of you guys think that could be higher, but whatever. It works for me, and as you can see, it works really well. And if we were to look at this over my massive sample size, this number might be slightly below 50%, and I still have a huge button win rate. So if it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it. Happy with my 3-bet at 8%. I wouldn't mind it being a touch higher, but maybe we could add more 3-bets from the button and the small blind specifically. But again, pretty happy with it. Defending 3-bets. Not really sure what to say about that yet. There's nowhere near enough hands in any samples, so we're not going to look at that. Went to showdown, pretty standard. Won at showdown 56, which is high, which is running pretty good, which is obvious when you look at our graph that we're running pretty good. And my woman saw flop is much higher now than it was when I had a less aggressive pre-flop style. This typically is around 43, 44 for me. It's jumped up to 50 almost, which I'm really pleased with, because I think that is what's having a really big impact on this, which is a really consistent red line. That is one of the things I'm most pleased about, because it's just showing a high degree of consistency. It means I'm not playing one way playing one style one day, different style the next. It tells me that I'm delivering a consistent style over and over. Typically, red lines, from players will reflect a player's confidence level. When it's dipping a lot, they're not in confidence. When it's going up a lot, they're either high in confidence or they're running good too, and that just making running good in spots where they're making people fold or what have you, or they're not being forced to fold. So I'm really happy with the red line. All in EV, we've actually gone above the all in EV now, but even when we go to the overall, our big blind per 100 is currently 16, which is absurd. Clearly it's not going to be that high. Our EV is 13. Again, that's not sustainable. I'm starting to think that 8 could be the number. I think I could maintain a win rate of 8 big blind in these games, which, without blowing my own trumpet too much, would be considered absolutely crushing. There's no mistake about that. If I was beating these games for 8 blinds 100, I'd be taking, what would I be taking out of the game? Maybe $8.50 an hour plus whatever pathetic rate back we get. Maybe close to $9 an hour out of the games, which at 16L 3 table I think is phenomenal. And I think it's the kind of area a lot of the guys who watch my videos would love to aspire to get to in the short term. So yeah, if you are looking at this and thinking, wow, this guy's results short term are really impressive, just be aware that they are over the short term. But I do believe that my big blinds per 100 in these games, probably if I played a huge sample size, I would expect them to be 8 big blinds per 100. If you want some help getting your game to a level where you can start to approach those sort of win rates, you know where I am. You know how to get in touch with me. It's all below the video. Please do. My rates are very reasonable. The top rate's $30 an hour if you buy multiple sessions. Lowest rate's $20 an hour. So I think it's pretty much affordable for any serious micro stakes player that's got a decent bankroll and got a good attitude towards approaching the games. So there we go. There's that little bit of database review that some of you guys have been requesting. Sample size isn't anywhere near big enough yet, but hopefully it's satisfied the desire for that. We're going to stop for a moment now. We're going to review 4 hands that are picked out from between sessions, and then we'll get on to playing live. So here we are, ready to go with the hand review. These are all going to be played against the same player that I've been battling with this week. He's certainly a fun opponent. He's Kubik Rublik from Belarus. He's an aggressive regular, shall we say. That's going to be a polite way of describing him, I think. So here's his first hand. We squeeze the pocket queens at the blinds. He defends. We get a pretty miserable. I think I misplayed this hand, to be completely honest with you. Spoiler alert, we lost it. We checked the flop, which I think is pretty standard in this situation. I think we need to bet this turn once he checks through. Not really to protect against much, just if he's just got like a random ace or something, just deny equity. I don't think we need to bet a lot. I'd check again here. I think I'd rather sim myself bet maybe $1.60 to $2, something like that. Something just to just deny equity. I don't do that. Then 8 comes on the river. I check again, and I think I've completely butchered this hand because I think we should definitely bet this river for value. I completely butchered this hand at the time. You'll see in later hands. And when you can see by his stats, he's super aggressive. He's got a 61% win when sort of flop, 36-27 with like a huge 3-bet, albeit over a small sample, 90% C-bet. At the time, my strategy was just trap this guy, give him chance to like hang himself. He didn't do it, then he bet the river, and I thought, cool, I finally got him to bite. Super easy call, and he just called the 3-bet with the 3-6. So let's just get this straight. This guy opened 6-3 suited for middle position, and then defended versus a whatever it was, 14 big blind squeeze. So fair play to him. He won the pot. He got his money in. He got his not get his money in good, but he achieved his goal. He got to showdown and made the best hand. I should have played the hand differently, but nevertheless, it's still like ludicrous line from him pre-flop. This is a second hand versus him. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, this is not. This is actually versus. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Seeing who the hands. The last 2 hands are versus the same guy in the first hand. No, fuck it. We'll go to this one now. This is against a student of mine who, without blowing my own trumpet again, has managed to move from 2-0 to 16-0 through working with me. He's one of my most current success stories. It's going really well. It was a fun battle this morning. We got involved in a couple of spots. He just flatted my open. I make a reasonable size C-bet here. I think because of the board texture, there's a lot to protect against. There's a lot of ways that hand can go sour. People will say, "Oh, we're betting for value here." I'm with Jander on this. We're not really betting for value on the flop because we're a long way from the river. What we're doing here is we're betting to protect our equity. We're betting to build a pot in position that hopefully will take down at the end. And we're betting to deny equity to our opponent, which is not really a value bet. People say this is a value bet. I understand why they're saying it because we get stuck in the. Are we betting for value? Are we betting as a bluff? But it's basically just like a pretty big bet on a wet board texture to deny equity to our opponent, to deny our opponent the opportunity to draw cheaply versus us. And he surprised me by making a check raise. I think our hand's way too strong to fold at this point, especially given that Kent knows what a fucking nit I am. So we can definitely be check raising draws. So you just check raise pure bluffing, thinking, I'm going to go away if I don't have anything. Which would be right most of the time, although I probably wouldn't maybe C-bet bluff air on this board. But nevertheless, he makes a check raise we call. I don't think the queen changes anything. He barrels into me. I'm starting to get more worried about sets at this point. Right now I'm thinking, Kent's flopped a set. I'm in trouble here. The queen's a brick. But all the draws have missed, and I don't know. I still think it's too early to fold. Even though I am very worried at this point that he's got a set. At this point, I don't think Kent's a sort of player who would check raise pocket 8s here anyway. But if he was check raising pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, I don't think he barrels the turn queen very often. So at this point, I'm kind of ruling out over pairs, and I'm putting him mostly on draws and sets. We certainly can't fold just yet. So we call. And then the river comes off a 4. And I expected this to go check a lot. And then me decide whether to turn my pocket 10s into bluff. That's what I was thinking. Kent's probably going to check because how does he have a 5? I guess he can have some 5s, but my line of thinking was flush draws, sets. So I was thinking he's going to check. Do we then turn that 10s into a bluff? Probably not. Maybe we can just shut them down. If he bets, can we call? Thinking that he's just going to continue with all his flush draws for sure and his sets. And if he bets a reasonable amount, we can think about hero calling because there's lots of flushes that have missed. And then Kent just goes with the overbet jam, which completely surprised me. Well, not quite an overbet jam, but it's as good as committing him, obviously. And I tanked and tanked and tanked. And I think what swung it for me in the end was we just have the 10 of clubs blocker. Now, blockers aren't such a big deal, but I think in close decisions, really close spots, having the blocker here makes it easier, I think, to make the fold. If that was like a 10 of spades, for example, maybe it would just have pushed me into calling. Even though the 10 on reduces like a few combos, the flush draws it can have, when it's close, that sort of shit matters. Eventually I tapped out and folded, and Kent told me later in Skype that he did have the ace-5 of clubs, so he got there on the river. And yeah, I thought that was quite interesting hand playing against like one of my own like students, if you will. So that was good fun. Move on to another hand versus the absolute raging psycho. So we have the ace king. We 3-bet. He calls as expected, given he's up to now pretty much never folded to 3-bets. We flop a pair, and this is when I was still doing my whole check to him thing. I still checked him again, hoping he'll hang himself. And finally decided to I put like a kind of blocking bet on the river. He's in. I'm not worried about flushes, even though the last time he turned up with a flush, I wasn't worried about flushes. I kind of hoped he might do what he did if I put a blocker bet in. Kind of thought maybe he's got a little bit of weak showdown value, and maybe he's the sort of player who'll just do something stupid with it. He did like make a pretty quick, pretty big raise, and I snapped him off really easily. And he had exactly what I thought. Well, not exactly. I didn't think exactly pocket fives, but I was very confident that he was bluffing there. It just didn't make sense that he'd want to make such a big raise, especially when the board's paired and I have the ace of hearts. So like, really, is he really going to raise like a lower flush that big? Seemed unlikely to me. And he was just doing exactly the type of thing I expected him to do, which was seeing a blocker bet pounce all over it. So we're starting to learn about him. And I don't think he's going to be watching these videos. When I look at my YouTube information, I don't get an awful lot of using Belarus, so I don't think I can give him much away by revealing my strategy against him. And then the last time we have 2 9s. Multi-way pot. He just decides this time to randomly lead out. I just raise him straight away, thinking if he's sort of play, if he's got a draw or if he's got a jack, he's just not going to fold it. He calls. Ace comes on the turn. He just overbet shoves. We obviously have the easiest call in the world, and I have no idea what the fuck he was doing. But I thought it was a really interesting hand. I've been battling with this guy a lot, and it's been a lot of fun. Battling with good regulars, I don't find much fun. There's a player called Cicero or something who's been giving me a hard time. He's a pretty good player. I think we're kind of just sparring off against each other. Not there's much between us. But against these guys, I love these guys. I'd happily play these types of players all day. They're just absolute bona fide nutters. They put a lot of juice into the games. And yeah, no idea what he was doing there on the turn. Who knows? Answers on a postcard, please. If you want that, give me a reason why he decided to just like blast off and overbet jam that turn after I raised the flop. Answers below. I'd be delighted to hear your comments on this hand in particular. So there we go. There's the 4 hands that we've gone to look at. We're already God knows how deep into the video. We haven't even played a fucking hand yet. Who knows how long the video is going to be? You guys will know because you'll be able to see it on YouTube. But now we're going to break in and we're going to play a 500 hand session. We're going to be 3-tabling. We're going to have 3 tables on one screen this time because people said it was a bit confusing last time. I've been 3 across and it was quite narrow on YouTube. It didn't look the best. So we're going to try 3 on the same screen tiled. The tables will be a bit smaller, but hopefully it'll be easy for you guys to follow. So here we go with the live play part of the video. 500 hands and counting. All in for 65, call. Squeeze, seems reasonable. This guy's pretty loose, we're not going to try and steal off him with the 5-2 on table 2. Tables 1, 2 and 3, I'll try and refer to them as that when I'm playing. Apologies if I don't always meet that aspiration. In 3-bet with the ace 10 on table 1. If he had a full stack, I would call here in position, but he doesn't, so we're just going to make a tight fold. Table 2, we flop 2 pair blind versus blind. Board's not super wet, but we're going to make a big C-bet. Because if he does have any kind of draw, he's probably not going to fold. There's a good chance he can have worse pairs. Well, not worse pairs, we have 2 pairs, but good chance he can have like worse hands that he thinks are ahead too. So no reason to make a small bet there. As it happens, he just folded, so I guess he didn't have much. Jack 9 suited from the big blind, multi-way pot with potential fish. Well, possibly 2 potential fish given this person's stack size and stats, so we're not going to turn that down. We don't get a good flop, probably just done with it. We are going to wait on table 2 to try and steal this 11/2's big blind, but someone's beat us to the punch, so never mind, we give that a miss. Turn a gut shot on table 1 after the flop checks through. I'm going to go for a big bet, just try and take it down now. If we don't take it down, we're going to hope to bink an 8, which we completely fail to do. I don't think the 4 of diamonds is a good card to continue bluffing on. I don't think it's going to make him fold a pair very often, which is kind of what we're wanting him to do at this point, so we're just going to give up. Treat our cut off like the button here on table 2. This is something that I talked about in the first part of the video, where I'm going to try and find more ways to open up my cut off open range. This is typically never a cut off open for me, but because the guy on the button is so damn like tight playing 11/2, I'm going to treat it like we've got the button there, so I'm just going to use my button range to open with. It seems like that I've been missing, that I would need to pay more attention to. Hands are only just going to fold this, but there's a net on the button. Stuff like that, when I'm 1 and 2 tabling, I notice these things and never miss the opens. I tend to miss them sometimes when I'm 3 tabling. It's something I can absolutely improve on. And hopefully it's something that now I've made myself aware of it, I will be much more alert about. I don't need my stats to get much better than what they are. I mean, I'm quite happy with that 19, 16. But if we can add to it by just putting a few more steals into our range and a few more like slightly looser opens from the middle of position, that ain't going to hurt us and only improve us, then I think we should certainly be striving to do that. We could 3-bet, or we could call here with our king, queen offsuit. I'm going to go with the 3-bet in this scenario. He's got a wider than average small blind open, so I want to be discouraging him to do that long term. Our hand has good blockers to his 4-bet range, and he's folding at least a little bit to 3-bets. Not great reasons, but reasons enough. We're going to squeeze with the ace queen here for sure on table 1. Not c-betting this board on table 3, but if we checks again, we will certainly be betting the turn. Absolutely on the ace of clubs we'll be betting. If he leads into us, it makes it slightly more difficult. I'm going to go with quite a big bet here. If I did have the ace, I'd be going with quite a big bet, I think. Not going to bet the ace queen into 2 people. When we get flatted under the gun and middle position flats, they're going to be very, very pair heavy, and they're just not going to be that much of a mind to fold on 6-3-7 rainbow. So it's time to just give up with the ace queen, and we'll see it out to the end. A bet and a min raise, and then a jam and a call. 5-4 suited and pocket jacks. It's fair to say our c-bet wasn't getting through there. Again, a purple player calling an open middle position with 5-4 suited and then overcalling a squeeze. I'm sure there'll be some guys out there that can try and make some cases for that being okay. I think it isn't okay. I think it's completely unnecessary, and I do not advocate it in any shape or form. Nothing to do but just call here with the 3 kings. Hopefully our small bet size reduce some bluffs. And then we obviously hit gin on the river with the, what it is now, third nuts or something, is it like that? Pocket sevens will be the notes. King 8, pocket kings, pocket sevens, king 8, obviously. So we're not clearly raising this river. Don't expect him to call with worse very often, but just calling will be bonkers. Pocket 8s, given there's 2 nits in the blind, I think we can, pocket 10s on table 3. If there were squeezes in the blind, I would maybe have gone for a 3-bet there, but because they're not squeezes in the blinds, because they're pretty nitty, we're going to get away on the button with just calling a lot. This absolute nip bar leads into a small here. We're just going to call and see a turn. I'm worried about him having Jack Queen. I'm not remotely worried about having pocket kings or pocket aces. We're going to raise. Then if he has Jack Queen, then fuck our lives, basically. We're going to lose a buy-in. And there's not much we're going to be able to do about it. And he just instantly falls. It's surprising that he folded there. We're going to presume he had like a decent ace or something. Maybe some kind of super strong draw. But he just wasn't betting big enough. If he was betting bigger, we could have continued our slow play maybe, but not versus that size. He's not putting enough money in the pot for what my hand wants to go in there. Ace Jack versus a complete unknown. It's going to be a muck. 9-5. I'm trying to find spots to open more cut-offs, but I don't think the 9-5 suited is going to sneak into that range just yet. It's close. I don't think it's going to sneak into it. Defend the 4-6, completely whiff, give up. Defend the 4-9, completely whiff, give up. I defend a lot of suited cards versus min raises. I think it's a mistake to fold kind of almost any 2 suited cards to a min raise. Another player I've come across that seems quite decent to me, this Go-Go, but I've noticed that he does open too many hands in middle positions, so we're going to certainly try to 3-bet bluff him here. I caught him opening, I think it was like 5-4 suited or something like that from middle position, which in my opinion is too wide. As we can see by his stats here, he's actually opening more hands in middle position. These are the cut off at the moment, which probably isn't going to continue that way, but for now we're going to assume that he's a reasonable player that just doesn't really get his head round position much. We're just going to see better here with that and hope to maybe make him fold a better hand, like pocket 8s, pocket 9s, stuff like that. They can definitely fold. We pick up the nut flush draw now. He snap called the flop, which lets me think he either has a draw or an ace. Not if he had like pocket 8s, pocket 9s, he wouldn't snap call, I don't think. So I don't think we're going to have too much fold equity on this turn, so we're not going to double barrel. We're just going to try and realise our equity with the club. And we have to call here. I think we're going to be beat a lot of the time, but we're getting such a good price. And he only had the king queen. There you go. There you go. He had the right idea of bluffing the river. I guess he just didn't put enough balls into it. If he like pots it there or more, he puts me in a real tough spot with the 6. When he doesn't pot it, when he gives me such a great price, I think he's making a pretty big mistake there. Maybe he's not quite as good as I first thought. Four, 5, even though it's fundamentally weaker in terms of like high card strength and 9-5 suited, it's infinitely more playable, so we're going to open that from the cutoff. Bearing in mind here we are somewhat deep, we're going to make a larger than usual 3-bet with pocket kings on table 3. We are going to fold the 5-4 suited to the 3-bet. Interesting spot with the kings. going to puke if he raises. He doesn't. There's my inner paranoid Nick coming out again then. Most people, oh cool. Our pocket kings are still an overpair, let's go. There's me thinking, please don't raise, please don't raise, please don't raise. It's just how my mind works. But I do think if we did raise there, it would have been a really tough spot. Let the 6-9 go, we'll defend the 7s. Let the Ace-9 go, we're going to be letting the 7s go on that flop. I'm very comfortable 3-tabling now. I think it's probably optimal for me to 3-table. I think 4 slightly too many. I think 2 slightly too slow. 3 seems really good. Don't know anything about Fitzy Ferret, but we've got the kind of hand that I like to 4-bet bluff with. So that's what we'll do. And I'm going to check raise versus the 3 Gs. I think he's going to stab pretty wide. These sort of plays with these short stacks typically do. These two guys then tell us how they like their hand by either raising or calling, and if they just call or fold, then we just get to put the rest of the money in against 3 Gs. The 3 Gs. And the 3 Gs folds, which wasn't what we wanted, and Barbarian calls, and maybe that turn card's built. I am kind of worried. I mean, I think if he had a set of 8s or deuces, he would just have like raised again on the flop. So I think we just jumped ahead of a lot of his range for check calling, and obviously we're still way ahead of his draws. So we're just going to shove this turn. Hopefully he has king queen or something and looks us up, or hopefully calls us with some kind of like club draw or something. Nice bit of red line victory there on table 2. 4 deuce suited. If I knew more about the player and he had like a high steal, it's the sort of hand I could be persuaded is worth 3-betting, but we don't know either of those things, so it's just a super trivial fold. Just going to bet for protection with my ace-4 here, and the backdoor flush draw if we do get called to fall back on, as well as 2 pair and trip outs. If we get called and we're behind, it's all is far from lost. This player doesn't fold to 3-bets very often, so we're not going to 3-bet bluff him. Even though Queen 5 wouldn't really fall into my range, we're doing that anyway. But if we did have a really high fold to 3-bet over a big sample, then we could start using any 2 cards to 3-bet with. Do it, Gab. Do it. Fuck you, ace. Do I not like that ace? He's potted it. Call once, probably fold the river. The ace is making me more tempted to want to call now. I don't like this, but I think we have to pay it off. We don't have a spade, so we don't block any spade draws he might have had. We don't block Jack 10. And with the ace coming on the river, it makes it less likely he has one. All those things. I mean, of course he does have one, but we had good reasons to want to call there. I'm going to call here too. I think we should probably just continue barreling the turn maybe to avoid ourselves getting put in these situations where our opponent can just like blast against us and put us in some really tough spots. You have to call here because I've checked the turn. I mean, I don't see what ace. I mean, of course, he can have some ace 7, ace 4, ace 10. He can have some aces that have made 2 pairs now. He can have some aces that are randomly floated as well, I guess. I've kind of butchered this hand a little bit. I'm not happy with how I played it. He had the 4-9. Wow. Not really sure what to say about that. I don't think either of us played that in particular well. I think his defend pre-flop is marginal. Flop float's fine. In fact, yeah, I think he's done okay with that. I think he's played it better than us. I should really just continue betting the turn there. I think instead of give up the initiative, then you start guessing, which is something I haven't been doing a lot of lately. I've been like retaining the initiative way more often recently than I typically did. So I changed to a game that I'm really pleased with. I just lost concentration. The turn should have been a bet still. But never mind. We live and we learn. This guy's more aggressive. I would maybe think about check raising him here, but he's not, so we'll just c-bet. On a drier board, I'd be a bit more concerned if he raised. But don't think I'd be folding. I'm the biggest c-bet on this board due to our hand needing more protection. I'm going to give him this tech for the time being just because his stats are going to be enormous and he's used an absurd sizing pre-flop. Just want to be aware when I'm at the table with him so we can play some wider ranges. He might not remain the blue tag, but for now he's going to be there because I want to know. When he's in a handy session, I kind of want to know about it. Well, not kind of. I definitely want to know about it. There's no kind of about it. Even though because we're playing Zoom, we need to focus more on being like one of the better regulars and taking money from regulars too, as well as fish, where most of my videos and most of my strategies down the years have been around finding fish and taking most of the money from them. Whereas now I'm working much harder on making regulars a decent profit source too. We still need to know when these guys are around because they're the guys that are just going to punt stacks off to us. We're going to pick up some very easy chips from them in the long term, and if we don't mark them and make ourselves aware of them, then how can we adjust our ranges to try and exploit the fact that they exist? Interesting bet sizing from Barbarian here. I think we can let our third pair go. Here's our blue tag friend. In fact, we're going to make a slightly bigger open because it's in the blinds. Move away from our typical sizings. We do not flop anything. Given that we don't know how we respond to c-bets, we're just going to take our free card and go from there. We could easily just have showdown value versus this player here. There's no reason to want to bet. Jack 10 suited, and now we're going to value bet the river. And he had the ace-4, so never mind. I don't want a 3-bet versus someone who hasn't folded to a 3-bet yet with Jack 10 suited, so we'll just let it go. Pretty horrible flop here for our 10-8. Not very much going on at all. Our opponent doesn't have a particularly high one when sort of flop though, so I think we can c-bet quite light here and just, when he does this, not be concerned at all that he's ever getting out of line versus us. We don't have to bet there, but against people who I think are kind of like quite weak and fit or fold type players, I don't mind taking a few more outlandish stabs. Let's see if we can figure out what this guy's strategy is, see if we can get an early tag on him. He's got a high 3, but it looks like he's quite loose aggressive. Don't learn anything from him having that hand, so let's move on. Three to a flush, 3 to a straight against someone who looks like they might be bad. We're going to peel once here and then hopefully catch an interesting turn. We do not catch an interesting turn. He does slow down though. I'm going to check back this turn, and if he checks the river, we're just going to like overbet and expect to win a lot. He does not oblige. I had chances as much 3-betting as would like this session. I was going to squeeze there with a 3-bet, then I saw his stack size and I thought, nope, that's not a good idea. Quickly scroll on the lobby, see if our blue tagged friend's still in the games. He's still there. And he's 2-tabling too. Awesome times. These damn min raises, they really do make you like have to work in the big blind, don't they? Not enough of a sample size to do anything with the King Queen just yet. Again, don't know enough about this player to know whether we can 3-bet him with the Queen 10 suited or not, so I guess we'll just take a flop. I want to see flops versus these two guys, so we're going to make a pretty loose button call and hope we don't get squeezed. Sadly we completely miss. We c-bet small here, we're going to check raise. Pick up a good shot now and a flush draw. I'm going to lead this turn, hopefully just make him fold some random nonsense if that's where he's got. If he calls, we're only going to really continue betting on the river if we improve. If I like stab the turn and he calls and we don't improve, I don't think it's going to be a particularly good bluff spot. So on the river, so I wouldn't have taken it. It's 4x opened here, and we have two pretty aggressive players in the blinds. I'm going to go with a call with a view to back raising over a squeeze. Didn't work out. He just keeps betting half pot. We're just going to keep calling, I guess. Checks. It's a better amount that's going to protect against like an ace or a king, I guess. Again, not typically pocket queens would be a super standard 3-bet, but given that he 4x'd it under the gun, which is unusual, and given that we had two players in the blind that attacked purple, one of which might not be warranting that tag anymore, this guy, because his 3-bet isn't turning out to be super high, but he is kind of loose aggressive and pretty aggro post flop. We'll keep it there for now, but we'll keep him under supervision. I just thought there's a slightly better than average chance we get squeezed, and because he's 4x'd it, if we 3-bet and he like puts a massive 4-bet in, puts me in a spot that I don't really want to be in, so call in there with a view to back raising over potentially like squeezes is a reasonable plan. Of course 3-betting will be completely fine, but like I said, I was just worried that we'd have to make our 3-bet slightly bigger because he's 4x'd it, which then if he wants to allows him to make a bigger 4-bet, which I wouldn't really like to get queens in versus under the gun. Not my idea of fun. Just limping into this guy's small blind because we don't want to just get 3-bet and get blown off our hand. We are certainly going to take a flop with him though. That is for sure. And we're probably going to check raise this flop and play for all his stack. Which could, obviously, we can easily have the worst hand here, but there's a good chance, given how like manic he appears to be, there's a good chance we have the best hand. If we don't, we have a good shot. We have 2 pair outs and things. And he might just pay off with worse, like pocket 7s. He might think it's a nuts or a 9 or whatever. He actually has 2 pairs, which is kind of unfortunate for us. But whatever. That is not a particularly good flop for our hand. We'll check back. If he bets the turn, if he checks the turn, we'll certainly delay c-bet. Not going to be calling this pretty large squeeze with the 2 9s against an unknown player. Not enough with calling 3-bets versus people with his stack size, but king queen's just too strong. Needs to see a flop. I guess we're not going anywhere now. We've flopped top pair. Good chance we're just going to donate to him here. But I mean, how can we fold? We are not donating to him yet. And we did not donate to him at the end of the piece. See how we're looking positionally after the... Yeah, we still haven't really got up to speed in the middle position and cut off, and I've been focusing on it more this session. I think it's definitely been more a matter of like just not having the right cards distributed to us rather than me making any like unusually tight decisions. It's been one of those sessions where we just haven't really had very many interesting spots up to now. Still, it's time. Who knows? Really have a hard time getting on board with these small 3-bets from out of position. If you are making small 3-bets out of position versus regulars, might I suggest you stop doing it, because you're just putting yourself in some truly horrendous situations most of the time. So you're going to make life difficult for yourself. Even when you've got a hand you really like, you have to call this turn. He's got too much equity. We've got 2 paired outs, trip outs, flush outs. Way too much equity to fold. Sadly, the 9 does not oblige. He's going to probably pot it on whatever. And we're going to fold. Wow, he bets 272. Why don't you just jam and make life easy for me? We just can't fold getting this price, I don't think. I mean, I have no idea. We don't beat almost anything. Let's just sit out a minute and hopefully we'll have time to think about it. Right, we need to call almost 3 to win 13. Getting better than 4 to 1. I mean, I guess you can just have some like ace king hearts and shit. Ace queen hearts. Ace 10 hearts. Queen jack. Never mind. Doing an awful lot of paying off this session. Not happy with how this session is progressing right now. That's for sure. And it's just more things just not working out well for us. I don't like playing particularly badly. Could have played slightly better, probably. I think with both like the calls we've made that I haven't wanted to make. I think we've had to make due to the great pots we've been getting. We've been facing a lot of these min raises, which means we've been able to like just do a lot of calling with very marginal hands, and then just really very rarely improving them. So yeah, it's just been one of those sessions where we've kind of been forced to do a lot of stuff we don't really want to do, and it's had pretty bad consequences pretty much every time. I'm going to fold this river if he bets again. Again, another one of those situations where we have such a good price, we have to call. We lose a ton of the time here, but we have to call. It's another one of those situations that seems to be prevalent in this session, where we just end up paying off very small value bets constantly. Not this time, though. So we could be on our way to booking a losing session here, but that happens. If we just made a complete series of every single session I play as a winning session, it would be unrealistic, it would be shit, and it would make me look pretty disingenuous. The only times if I start recording a session, the only times I don't like put it out there, I don't have time to like record and only like cherry pick which sessions I choose to like publish. The only times I don't publish them is if I just like rage quit a session before it's like proper video length, or if it's just incredibly dull. This hasn't been the most exciting session, but there's been enough spots where I've been tested and kind of failed that test. I think it would be dishonest of me not to put the video out. I mean, if guys had made bigger value bets, we could have got away from some of our hands, I guess. So I guess we could, well, maybe if they'd been slightly bigger value bets, we could have lost more. It depends where you want to look at it. Yeah, it's not been my most glorious session, But we all put sessions like this in sometimes. Don't think I've done anything like really bad, but I don't think I've done anything really good either. Let me call the Queen Jack suited versus the 3 Gs. All these stack sizes are pretty fucking awkward tonight. Awful lot of people not playing full stacks, which is good. In a way. It means there's plenty of fish around, but it does make it kind of hard for me. Look at my 3-bet tonight. It's really low compared to what it usually is. And that's probably got a lot to do with people's stack sizes, because we just don't want to be 3-bet bluffing versus these shorter stack sizes, because it doesn't leave us much room post-flop. Pre-flop, people are just going to be way more prone to just jam it in our eye with like marginal holdings, making us fold our marginal holdings. This guy's C-bet 75% so far. We have an open end straight draw with an over. Let's just commit to the hands against him. Of course we're behind. And we do not get there. Never mind. Right. I think we're going to start by calling, given the fact we're going to go to a multi-way pot almost certainly with a hand that can make the nuts a lot. But it's far from ideal. Make a small stab here with the ace-10. Fold to a raise. Get caught in 2 spots. Almost no chance that we're good here, I expect. Almost no chance that we're good. I expect we're going to lose to at least ace-queen. Can we just turn our hand into a bluff and jam it here? No. Ace-queen in 2 spots. There you go. There you go. I don't think we get that shove through. Not going to 3-bet versus someone who's currently just playing 16/9, although that's not necessarily going to be his stats long term. Certainly we've got no good reason to get out of line against him. Just c-betting, just betting here to deny equity to like any unpaired stuff he's got that's going to have some outs against us if we're out ahead. Games have been pretty good tonight. We just haven't got there, have we? We just haven't got there in any good opportunities yet. I mean, feels like I'm stuck about 2 buy-ins. I mean, I guess we'll see at the end. I'd rarely check during sessions. There's just no reason to. What does it matter? Doesn't change anything, does it? All it can do is negatively affect your mindset in some way. But I'm going to guess we're about 2 buy-ins down. maybe even slightly more. Got really high small blind 3-bet, so we're going to go for a cold 4-bet bluff on table 3. That ace comes, why wouldn't it? Pretty easy check. I'm going to check, call this river. Pretty much every draw, like the 8-9's got there with the 7, but tons of draws have missed. I guess if we miss value from Queen Jack or something, then kind of sucks to be us. Queen Ace, he just didn't bet it. Well, guess my check call plans were fucking rubbish then. I have to call with the kings, given that we check back the flop on table 1. We have a note on this guy. What does my note say? Tank, overbet, shove. Right, okay. So he bets big. I'm going to give it a bit more respect. Yeah. Pretty low woman soft flop too. I'm just going to not pay that dude off. You will have a nit on the button, and the blinds don't look like particularly active on the squeeze department. We're going to try and see a flopping position with the pure suited connector. We're not going to hit with it, of course, but we're going to try and see a flop with it. Not much we can do when somebody's probably a fish leads out into 2 people on this board with our whiffed ace king. And of course we get 3-bet by the guy who plays 15-7. Kind of sums up the session, doesn't it? And we can't even get steals through 15-7s. You know it's not your night. Again, not many active players behind this. Plays green tight. I'm actually going to make a small 3-bet here, just to try and isolate him. As you can see by my stats, 18, 19, 30 with like a 4% 3-bet, low woman so flop. This has just been a session where we just, things just haven't gone right for us, and this is going to happen. It's just part of poker, isn't it? If you have a session like this where you'd like lose a bit of money, but you can tell by your stats that things have been a bit weird, of course you go back, you review it, you think that make sure you didn't make any huge mistakes, things like that. But typically I can just tell by my stats here, woman saw flop 38%, 3-bet 4.7%. We just haven't had our usual distribution of cards, and it's showing in our results. There's no reason to have like a mega autopsy over it. It's just one of those things. Much as like in my 2 afternoon sessions where we won pretty big, we're like 6 buy-ins in 1,000 hands. This is just the other side of the coin, you know, where everything went right our last 2 sessions. Nothing much has gone right this session. Much as I wasn't a genius in those last 2 sessions when I was crushing them, I'm not a total fish in this session when nothing's gone right. It's just natural variance, and it's very important that we don't overreact to it and start throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's unfortunate because they've been games that look really good. We just haven't been dealt very many good cards. We've had 500 hands and we haven't been dealt very many good ones. And the one good ones we have been dealt, they haven't really developed very well for us. That's just poker. And as I'm saying that, we obviously get dealt the aces. That's just poker. It happens. You've got to get on with it. You've got to focus. You've got to still play your best. You've got to make sure you don't fuck up in spots like this on table 3 when you have a good chance to maybe redeem your session. Treble up would be nice. Treble up would be a thing of absolute beauty. We'll take just a plain double up though. Might have rescued us somewhat. Don't like the 8 much. Jack 9 gets there, flush draws develop, although we do have the blocker to the good flush draws. Some 2 pairs get there. I mean, obviously we need to continue betting. Just be aware that it's not a great card for our range. Much better card for him than it is for us. And I'm happy just to take it down. 32 hands to go. Those aces came just in the nick of time. I think we've still got a losing session. For sure. But hopefully that will have undone some of the damage. Do we squeeze the ace-8 suited? Don't we know enough about him? He's a nit. He would have 3-bet if he had something decent. Yeah, I think we can go for it. We get through under the gun, I think we get through everybody. Don't even get through the fucking small blind. Well, never mind. Never mind that. He's a good Liverpool fan though, so we'll be rooting for him in this pot if it doesn't work out too well for us. We're certainly not going to see, but when we squeeze 3 players and we get cold called in 2 spots, this is not a board that we are going to be c-betting on. We are going to 3-bet the 9s because of how active the big blind looks. Really good flop for us against Jepper. It's call this turn, fold the river unimproved, I think, isn't it? What to do with these 9s? So he's gone call 3-bet, check call flop, check call turn, donk river. Question here is just raise or call, I think. I think it's raise for value. Of course he has the pocket 10s. Never mind. Oh well, that's undone the aces. I think just calling there would be like nitty in the extreme. Yeah, it would have saved us money in that exact instance. But yeah, it would be a mistake to like just call with the kings there. He doesn't have like 3x, so he's kind of got pocket 4s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s that we just win. He just had one of those hands. I mean, he can absolutely call us there with some worse hands, in my opinion. A fish certainly can. A regular maybe not, but a fish certainly can. It didn't work out with one of those days. Oh, not one of those days, one of those sessions. And the jacks is just a jam. Oh, we're ending the session with a flourish. Snap called me with the ace king. Oh! Yeah, this one's going to be an absolute howler of a session. At least we can end it now. We've got to 500. We've made it to 500. We're fucking limping along in like the most beaten up card of all time. But we've made it. I'm going to go for a check raise with this 10-7-8 board. Don't want to bet, get called and deal with shit turns. We're just going to try and like build a big pot right now while we still like our hand. While we can get it in against worse. If he bets, we raise and go with it. That's the plan anyway. He does go with the bet. Yeah, there's just loads of worse hands he can just get it in with here. If he's got us beat, then I guess we're going to lose another stack. But that pocket jacks, flush draws, straight draws, pair plus straight draw, combo draws, all kinds of things he can just go with here that we're doing just fine against. Never mind. Never mind. This could be possibly the worst session I've ever recorded on video. Could easily be my biggest ever losing session on video. In terms of big blinds. So before we look, let's play a guessing game. How much are we buried? I'm going to go $70. I think we're stuck $70. 69. I was out by $1. That doesn't please me that my guess was accurate. Yeah, it's just a day's work been undone, hasn't it? Let's see if we can quickly pull up Hold and Manager into this screen and have it sized in a way that works. Can we do that? Sure we can. So that's done this to the graph. Blech. That is minging. That is completely minging. Let's just get rid of the all in EV for the moment to see it. Look at that. That's not nice. Let's look at the active session. Yeah. Just went from bad to worse, didn't it? We almost got back with the aces, and then he went boom, 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 boom. Not a lot we can do about it. Red line held up remarkably well. Let's have a look what that looks like in actual like showdown terms. Yeah, we won at showdown just 36%. It's kind of a problem when that happens. It's not going to be too easy to do things. Let's go back to the active session for a moment. Let's relive the pain of some of the hands. Lost with kings, lost with kings, lost with jacks. That was versus the fish, wasn't it? That was fine, no problem with that one. And then we started to get down the smaller pots. So the big pots we lost. I mean, we just ran bad with kings twice. We lost a flip. Whatever, it is what it is. You've got to look at the bigger picture in these situations, and we are still winning at 9.5 big blinds 100, which is obviously phenomenal. REV's just about blob on now. Yeah, shit session, shit happens. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please evoke some sympathy. Not evoke, please. If you do have any sympathy for me, please do share it in the chat below. And hopefully with the next video we come back within a couple of days will show us making a sterling recovery from what has been a pretty calamitous session. Bye bye for now.